Welcome back. You're still watching Monday Report, and it's time for us to have a conversation with the Chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Bishop Dr. David Oginde. Good evening.
Good evening.
And it's good to see you here as we commemorate the International Anti-Corruption Day. And your theme for the day globally was Uniting with Youth Against Corruption, Shaping Tomorrow's Integrity. And there's something I want us to focus on because your commission issued a poll on the X platform. They were asking, as a young person, what do you do when you encounter corruption? There were three options. Do you report it? Do you stay silent? Do you engage in it? Let's take a look at what feedback the Kenyan youth have responded. They are saying, well, I will read it. Report it is 18.8%. Stay silent, 22.5%. Those that are saying would engage in it, 58.7%. I mean, even if this was a presidential vote, you'd have won.
It is landslide.
Exactly. I mean, what does this say about the perception in the country on what the war against corruption should be at a time that you're also focusing on engaging the young people in fighting this vice, yet they're telling you they would actually engage in it?
It is not totally surprising because I've been in several forums where that kind of a question has been posed. This is a time, I think it was last year or early this year, where I was in a forum at the University of Nairobi, the Center for Multi-Party Democracy had organized a forum to just look at what is happening in the nation. And among the things that were being discussed was the whole issue of ethics and corruption, integrity. And I was invited to come and make a presentation. This was a big gathering of people from all sectors, from high school all the way to members of parliament and people engaged in the corporate sector and so on. And I was to talk about the whole issue of ethics and integrity. And I remember at the time, I made my presentation and then there was discussion. And the moderator put a question. If you might recall, this was a time when a police officer, actually an OCPD, returned some money was being, some people had offered him 80,000 shillings, which he actually took to our office in Isiolo. And so he put this question, if you were the person, would you have taken this money to the EACC office or would you have kept it? Almost 99% of the people said they would keep it. And I was, at that time I was shocked. I mean, because we were gathered here to try and find a way forward on how to resolve the whole issue of corruption in the country. And yet the very people who are complaining were saying that if they had that money, they would keep it.
Right.
Across the board. So it tells us that corruption is only bad when I'm not involved in it. But as long as I'm benefiting, then it is not bad. But when some other people are involved in it, then it is bad. And that's what we are seeing in those polls, that the majority of the people are saying they would participate.
And so then, what is the solution out of that? Is there even need to get out of that?
If we do not get out of it, this country will collapse. That is, it is a fact. It is actually a fact. Because corruption distorts everything about the nation. It distorts the economy, it distorts the security, it distorts the livelihood, education, health, everything. Because you see, the few individuals who have access to the public resources then take those resources for themselves. The rest of us are left with nothing. And that is what will lead to the collapse of the nation.
Right.
And so there's no way we can say that we let this thing go on. It will totally mess up our country. So what can we do about it? One is that something that we're already doing at EACC, but we need to actually enhance in light of what we are hearing here, is public education. We need to help members of the public to realize the impact or the consequences of corruption, so that we do not associate corruption with progress, so that when I have stolen public resources and then I'm living a lavish life, then people consider that as progress, that I'm doing very well. That's how Kenyans say, so-and-so is doing very well. Yet, the money that I'm using to do very well is money that would have supplied medicine to their hospitals, money that would have repaired roads, money that would have done all kinds of development projects.
Right.
So we need to educate our people so that they understand the actual impact of corruption in the nation.
And you know, you're saying that at a time that AfriCorp has released a report. I don't know if you've been able to interact with a bit of the excerpts, and they are talking about how it has become endemic. They're even pointing out that the reporting has reduced by 50%. That people used to report more than 11,000, now they're reporting just over 5,000 cases every other year. But even as you follow through the processing of that by the EACC, you end up with a number that is less than 100 in terms of cases that have been pursued to the point of even recommendations to the ODPP. What is happening? Why is EACC not able to build that trust in the people, even by their performance?
Several factors that really make it difficult. One of them is, let me say, one of the things that impact that kind of response is lack of information. Because partly not everything that we do gets reported. And not every success that we make gets reported. So when people do not hear or do not see what is actually happening, they think nothing is happening.
Actually, AfriCorp is quoting your own report, EACC report itself.
Yes, but it is now that report, how many of Kenyans read it?
I am saying
yes,
that EACC reports are showing there's a drop in the number of cases that Kenyans are reporting.
That's what I'm saying.
And those that get reported,
yes,
the follow through to an extent of prosecution is very low.
Yes, so I was giving first the drop.
Yeah.
The reason for, then I'll come to the issue of follow through.
Okay.
Why it is lower. The reporting, when people do not see, in their view, nothing is happening, then people get discouraged, perhaps to report. Secondly, of course, just like the people who have said that they will get engaged, and some say, I will ignore, that takes another chunk of people.
Right.
Now, when we come to the whole issue of pursuing cases to their logical conclusion, the whole process of following a case from beginning to the end takes a whole process that is very long.
Right.
That requires personnel, that requires resources, requires finances, and so on. And you have heard us say this many times, that EACC is not adequately empowered, as it were, in terms of resources to be able to do everything that we need to do. Our establishment that is approved by government is actually 1,500 people, but we are operating at just over 700 people. So you see that number is not adequate for us to do all the work that we need to do. When these reports are mentioned, it starts from somebody taking 50 bob to all the way to billions. So we have had, therefore, to prioritize the kind of cases that we pursue, and the cases that we therefore focus on, which require a bit of time and resources, are high-profile cases, cases that are of public interest, cases that involve a lot of money, and these take time.
Yeah.
So because I can tell you that the corrupt people have become very, very clever, as it were.
Yeah.
And these corruption cases are very intricate. So for us to even resolve one case, it takes quite a bit of time.
What is that threshold? Because you're saying that cases involving a lot of money is what you prioritize. What is that threshold like?
That would take something from 500 million going upwards. Those cases would be given priority to tens of billions.
And when do you make a decision to now engage?
Engage what?
Engage in pursuing a particular matter that is being reported.
When a matter comes, there's a whole process. When a matter is reported, for example, we receive a report. All of the reports are recorded.
Yep.
Now, those then they are assessed for, in quotes, value in terms of is this something that needs to be pursued? So we do an initial assessment and analysis.
Right.
When we find that this is something that needs to be pursued, it is taken to the next level where we then institute some investigation, preliminary investigations, to just find out whether there indeed is fact. Then it's taken to the next level. So that whole process, by the time now it is taken, say, for example, to the ODPP, where our, as it were, our function kind of comes to an end, unless, of course, when we go to court, if it is approved to go to court. The process has gone through several stages, but every case that comes is assessed. So none of the cases will just be kept there. The
reason I'm asking that question, Chairman, is because just recently, the country was engaged in such a serious conversation about Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the expansion of that airport through Adani. There was an entire contract that has been signed between Ketraco and Adani Group itself, later on to be cancelled. And while all this was going on, many were speaking. The political class was speaking. The church was speaking. The media was speaking. The EACC was quiet. Why?
Because EACC, we do not engage in public, what can I say, discussions. Because that is like DCI now. When people, they are pursuing a criminal case, they don't come up and say, we are doing this, we are doing that, we are doing the other. Because ours is a legal mandate, and we follow things through like a legal process.
But you told me you look at the high-profile cases. This
yes, like looking at doesn't mean we come and tell the public.
Why you?
Why should we tell you? Because
no. Was the EACC looking at it?
Yes, we were.
How far did you go?
We were at the initial stages of assessment of what actually, first of all, to establish what is the process, who are the people involved, what kind of contracts were signed, and so on. So that preliminary review of the particular case, just about the time when we were about to get into anything that would be considered serious investigation, the thing then was called off.
What does serious investigation mean?
Serious investigation is where now you ask for documents, you analyze them, you get statements from relevant persons, you call in all the people who are involved and take statements from them just to determine their involvement in it. All this trying to establish whether indeed there was any malpractice that was involved.
So how far did that process get? Because you're saying that just before you got into the serious investigation, so does that mean that at the initial stages there was the team had found there could be something?
In the initial stages, you see, what you do is the whole issue of a corrupt deal can take various directions. For example, it can be direct embezzlement of funds. There can be procurement irregularities. There could be a situation where the tendering process was not correct. So those are some of the things that you try to first establish, whether indeed there are some things that are happening there. Then once you determine that this particular direction you want to go, then that's where you determine who should you talk to, who should come and make a statement, who should come and give us information, what kind of documents do you need. So that is what I call serious investigation, where now you are getting all the information that you need that you can then analyze. So were you
at the point that you'd have required to now venture into it seriously?
We had not got into the point where we were now going to call the people we were just about to get to that place. We were still at assessment level.
Now there has been we hear that the deals have been cancelled. Does it end there for EACC?
No, it doesn't. Because if there was wrongdoing, we would still follow it. But of course, if there is no money lost, for example, then it would come to a close at that point.
But EACC is for ethics.
Yes, it is for ethics.
So you don't have to lose money.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if, for example, there was no money lost,
Yeah.
it is not the same as when there is money lost. So you'd be pursuing it from the point of view of the people who are involved,
Yeah.
and what kind of breaches of the law.
What is the position of EACC on Adani's deal with Ketraco, for instance?
At this point, as I said, we had not gotten into the real investigation.
No, I got that. I'm just
Yes.
asking,
Yes.
moving forward, what is the position of EACC?
If we do find that there was actually some breaches, we would still move ahead and do the necessary with the people who
Does
are
that mean the file is still active, or what?
Our investigation, as I say, I can't say that the file is active because our investigation had not got to that point.
But you're telling me if you find
Yes.
that there was something wrong.
I think we are not understanding each other.
Okay, let me rephrase it.
Yes.
What is the position of EACC on Adani Ketraco deal, which had actually been signed, and their cancellation was announced by the president, and there could be implications based on the exit clauses in that deal?
So let me get back to what I was saying. We were still at the point of assessing preliminary assessment of the information. We had not got to the point of investigation where we can now say we are going to prosecute someone, or we have found out this was illegal, or there was embezzlement of funds, or there's irregularity in procurement, and so on. So we have not got to that particular point.
Will you?
I suspect, yes, I will. We will.
Okay. We're taking a short break here. The conversation continues with the Chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Bishop Dr. David Oginde. Send in your questions. We'll be reading some of them to the chairman and get responses. Stay tuned.